NFR podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2021. It's going to be a super exciting year. There is so much hip hop to talk about, so many anticipated releases, so many guys that went unheard of in 2020 because of the whole pandemic situation. Baloo, we have a stacked year incoming, and we have a special guest on this episode. So introduce us into the episode, and as usual, introduce us to our very special guest.
Yeah, so like you said, people have been quiet in 2020, and it's of course because of the COVID pandemic. It fucked so much shit up, but it's 2021, it's a new year, and a lot of big artists are,
Yes,
hinted
sir.
to be dropping.
Yes,
So
sir.
it's time for hip hop fans to eat at the end of the
Absolutely.
day. And we have none other than SK from Twitter that you guys may or may not know. Amazing account, has such great takes, and just has a lot of dope opinions on hip hop. So man, welcome to the show and introduce yourself.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having me. I'm SK. Yeah, I don't know. We're here to talk about some anticipated albums in 2021. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm excited.
Absolutely, man. There is so much cool shit coming out. We have some big names, man. And you know what? We're talking about how the underground is becoming, the new norm, especially in 2020, right? We saw Freddie Gibbs. We saw the rise of Griselda. We saw what people like Cher Noir were able to do. But now we got to talk about some bigger elephants in the room. So Lou, take us through the episode and, discuss what we're going to be talking about today, because there's a lot of cool shit.
Yeah, so like you said, 2020 was more the year of the underground, just like 2019 in a sense. But 2021, it seems like, a lot of the big dogs are going to be coming out to play. And let's start off with some honorable mentions, and then we'll dive into the top 10 most anticipated rap albums of 2021. So the first honorable mention that comes to my mind is Jid, who's supposed to be dropping in early 2021. He hasn't dropped anything since 2018's DiCaprio 2. And, every time that he drops, it feels like an event for me.
Absolutely. And I remember the last time he dropped, it was such an event because I went through that whole album and I was just like, how could a guy create something like this? Like, his penship is actually like, it's wizard level. And all the productions were fantastic. The whole commentary by DJ Drama was absolutely insane. SK, do you remember that drop in particular, man? And what were your first impressions when going through Jid's DiCaprio 2 back in 2018?
Actually, I didn't get into him until like earlier this year, but when I started to dive into his stuff, I was super impressed because like his pen game is like super impressive. Like not many are doing it, or especially like how early on in his career he is. Like it's super impressive of how much skill that he possesses. Yeah, he has two great projects. It was like The Never Story and DiCaprio 2. I'm excited to see what he has going on.
Yeah, another one of my
sure.
another one of my honorable mentions is actually Montana. I want to see Freddie Gibbs and Madlib come back. I got Alfredo last year; it cracked our top 5, but now it's time to hear from the master duo, like the Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan right now of the underground. I want to hear from them. I want to hear Freddie Gibbs go even more coke rap on even more beautiful soul samples. I want to hear it all, and not only that, but I want to hear him link up with other producers. Like, I would like to maybe hear a full Harry Fraud EP with him and Harry Fraud. I'd also love to hear, SK tweeted about this not too long ago, a Kanye produced sort of, I would say maybe EP album, whatever you want to call it, mixtape with Freddie going on those soul samples again. You put Freddie on a soul sample, it's working. It's like a sure shot. You know? This guy's a 40, 50, 90 shooter. Like, he never fucking misses. So listen, that's my honorable mention. Man, do you have anything that you want to say before going in? Like any albums that you want to hear?
Yeah, for sure. So, if you know me, I'm a huge Tyler Creator fan.
Yeah.
So, like with his recent projects, he's been keeping up with that 2-year drop schedule. So I was thinking that maybe he's gonna make some noise this year, but he hasn't even hinted at anything. So I don't know if that's happening. But another big one is Frank Ocean. Again,
that's
highly
another
unlikely, but probably one of the most anticipated projects in recent memory. I was actually talking about that the other day. But yeah, those are two that I'm really looking forward to in the near future.
Yeah, and there's so many that we could have dived into, but we chose to focus on, albums that are probably going to be coming out, which, hip hop albums are always announced and then canceled anyways, but these albums kind of seem to be a sure bet just because a lot of these artists haven't dropped in like 3-4 years.
Yeah, it's a long time, and especially when you're staying silent for this amount of time, your fans want to hear from you. Obviously last year was a hall pass. You can't really do anything about that, but this year it's time to go because there's a lot of artists last year that were still able to get their rollouts off. I mean, look at Big Sean, look at Logic, look at Benny the Butcher, Kid Cudi dropped, Playboy Cardi dropped. There's some big names there, and they did fantastic numbers too. Even Juice WRLD. Juice WRLD's posthumous album put up over like 450,000 first week sales. So I'm anxious to see what this could do. But listen, let's kick off this list, man. At number 10, we have A$AP Rocky's All Smiles. This guy has not dropped since 2018 with his, testing release. It was a heavy big boy release. A lot of people had mixed feelings. Baloo, take us through the background of the album and let's start this discussion.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, like you said, Testing was his last album. It was his third studio album, and he tried to be a little bit more experimental. And I feel like A$AP Rocky's always done that. He's always tried to, break free from the norms of hip hop. But with this album, I just feel like he might go back to his vintage sound just because he saw that he didn't get that great reception with Testing. And after the release of Babushka Boy, which came out in 2019, we kind of got that reminiscent, feelings of Long Live A$AP and, those types of older projects. So I think he's going to go back into that. And I hope that he dives into his experience in Sweden, where he spent, a month's time in jail. I think that, he's an artist that should, focus on his experiences just because it's such a fucked up thing and we want to know his thoughts on it. Right?
Absolutely, and we haven't heard anything from it. So SK, take us through your thoughts on new A$AP Rocky music coming out in 2021 perhaps. And do you think it's going to sound more like Testing where he's going to go for a new concept, or do you think he's going to try and go back to his old roots and trying to get on some classic Rocky production?
So for me, like, I know it's pretty unpopular, but Testing is my second favorite Rocky project.
Yeah,
and that one's the first. At
Okay.
long last A$AP, but yeah, I loved it ever since that first listen. I know it had took time to grow on some people, but yeah, for me, I would really want to see a mix of both of the styles instead of taking one set direction.
Yeah.
And I think earlier this year he had his feature on Lil Yachty's project
On
and,
TD,
Yeah, it was on
yeah,
TV.
TD, and yeah, that I don't know, that gave me that reminded me of sort of his old sound. And what you were saying with Babushka Boy, it was something that he would have done a few years ago. So yeah, I really hope he continues to push whatever he's done, his boundaries, but also go back to the sound that his fans love.
Yeah, not only that, but Juicy J actually announced that A$AP Rocky was working on a new album. So we'll have to see how that plays out this year because, listen, that's going to be almost 2 years now. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see how that goes down.
And Rocky also, I think he put on his Instagram bio, he put All Smiles, I think this summer. So that could be an indication that it's dropping. And of course now, he is dating Rihanna. So it kind of makes me think, is he going to dive into some melodic tracks? Is he going to, hit us with that romance? I don't know, man. Maybe.
Yeah, speaking of Rihanna, I really want to see her on a song with
Facts.
Rocky. That would be really cool.
That's big fact.
I don't know how it would work, but yeah, no, for sure I want to see that.
I think also, it's a perfect time for him to drop, right? There's so much buzz around his name. Not only that, but as soon as you start dating Rihanna, you could probably expect another 100K first week, right?
Yeah.
At any given time. So it's a perfect time to go for it. But let's go on to number 9, and we have someone who is kind of like the dawn of coke rap. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good fair title to give Pusha T the crown of coke rap. And listen, there is no title yet. We have not heard a single sort of marketing identity to this album yet, but we do know it's in the works, and we do know it's coming in the next 3 months, according to Pusha T himself. So, Lou, take us through the origins of the album and let us know what we could expect.
Yeah, so I think Pusha T was on an Instagram Live with his manager, Steve Victor, and he was just talking about how the Neptunes and Kanye West would be the sole executive producers producing every track on that album. And to me, it's the best of both worlds, just because the Neptunes were behind all of the releases from the Clips, which were, Pusha T and No Malice's Glory Days. And then you're bringing in Kanye West, who, produced Pusha T's best work in Daytona. So it's kind of, we're getting to see Pusha T mesh both of these worlds together. And there's no other producers that know him better. And what's really interesting to me is, where does he go from here? You know what I mean? A big push for the last album was the whole Drake beef. But at this point, is he going to go back? Is he going to hit him with some subs? I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what he's planning, but I'm excited. SK, what are your thoughts on getting some new Pusha T?
Well, talking about like the Drake stuff, I think he's gonna go away from that because I feel like when like all of that was happening, it was sort of appropriate to like sort of have that as a part of his album. But yeah, that like all that died down, plus there's really nothing else to like talk about when it comes to that. So if he did have some like shade towards Drake, it would just seem like he's sort of milking it at that point. But I'm just really excited to see how if he can top Daytona. That's like the biggest thing, because with like being produced by Kanye and Pharrell, like has like his raps have to be like at that standard too.
Top level.
And I don't know if he's gonna be able to top
it.
Daytona, but I hope he will.
No, I think he has the capability to, because listen, he's 43 years old, but it also feels like, you know, Pusha T's career is just starting to get rejuvenated again. I mean, when you're dropping a classic, and you know, I think it's fair to call Daytona a classic even after 2 years.
I think it's a future classic. It's going to age as one for sure, but it's
for sure.
Yeah, not there yet.
No, I'll put my money down on it right now. I don't.
Yeah, you can make the prediction, but I don't know. For me personally, I don't know about how you guys see it, but I have like a 4 to 5 year rule that it'll take that much time to see the impact of the project.
No, but I mean, like when we're talking about albums like let's say Swimming or this, or you know, Kids See Ghosts,
you can see it.
You could see it, man. Listen, if I had to put my bet on 365, I would do it right now. But regardless, I am super anxious for this because I feel as if Pusha T's on top of his game right now, and I'm a big fan of when he was coming up through that Southern sound with the clips, and I'm super anxious to see that chemistry come back again. But what's making me the most excited is that you have arguably two top 10 producers of all time working on the same project with you. You know, as soon as Pharrell Williams and Kanye West get into the studio, I could just imagine the type of fucking sorcery that's going down in there. Not only that, but then you get someone like Pusha T, who has not missed in the past, I would say, what, like 5 years?
He's just never missed.
Yeah, I don't. Pusha T is just one of those guys that doesn't miss. So you get that mixture together, and you have another potential classic. And now this is a question I'm gonna ask you guys: if Pusha T delivers another project on the level of Daytona, could he be considered in that conversation a top 15? Do you think like
top
that's
15? I don't know. I don't think top 15.
That's reasonable?
I don't think top 15, just because I don't think his music has that much influence as some other guys that I would put in my top 15 list. But in terms of coke rap, I mean, if he puts something else on the same level as Daytona, he might take the crown.
Yeah, he'll take the crown.
He might take the crown for that.
I agree with Luca. Like, for my top 15 list, I feel like the people who are there, like as of now, are like solidified. Like, I don't really see much changing in that. But yeah, but like as you were saying, if this is on par with Daytona, he'll easily be,
that's true,
like the king. Because for me, a lot of people will disagree, but I have Freddie over him right now.
Okay,
that's so fair. For me, if he does top this, I think he could take him over, which is a big thing. I mean, in my eyes, especially because I'm a huge Freddie fan.
One more thing that I want to go over is just the sales projections. Just because, you know, a lot of people, of course, attribute the success of Daytona's first week sales to the Drake beef, just because with Infrared there was that diss track and there was a lot of buzz on the internet, and that managed to sell 77K first week. So how much do you think that this next Pusha T album will sell first week?
Sheesh. Okay, let me go on to this. So I'll take the mic on this. Let's do, listen, My Name Is My Name did 74K first week. It debuted at number 4. Then after that, we had King Push at 40K, which debuted at number 17. And then obviously Daytona at 77, which debuted at number 3. I think a healthy estimate would be around 50 to 60K. I think that's...
So you think he'll shoot lower than Daytona?
Yeah, I think so. I do think so. Especially, listen, it's the pandemic, right? So people aren't putting up the numbers that they usually predict.
True. But I do think that Daytona and the Drake incident gave him like a whole new fan base in a sense, just because it made people hip to Pusha T who were never hip to him before. So I think that he'll overachieve a bit, and I think he'll go for 80 to 85K copies first week.
Yeah, okay, that's the good. How about you, SK? What do you think he's putting up?
I'm thinking he's gonna match it, match Daytona, because it all depends on how much they decide to promote it and the rollout they do with it. But Daytona had this huge buzz around it, and Drake is like arguably the biggest name in hip hop like right now. So without like any controversy or anything, if it's like that, then maybe he could he'll probably maybe he'll underachieve, but also Kanye's and Pharrell's name attached to this album, that will probably boost it a little bit more.
That's true.
Even
For
though
sure.
that I feel like that's sort of what happened with Daytona too. So yeah, I think he'll match. I think he'll sell around like 70, 75, something like that.
No, that's facts, and especially that you have two big names such as Pharrell Williams and Kanye West attached to your project, that's always going to do well. But listen, speaking about Kanye West, we have him at our number 8 pick. Listen, guys, fuck it, we didn't get Donda. It was actually like one of my biggest, I would say, teasers of this year.
But it could very well come in 2021.
I know, but listen, honestly, I'm not going to believe that Kanye put out a project until I hear it like 3 times. Like, that's the only time I'm actually going to buy into the album and say, like, listen.
Think about the fucking trust issues that
Oh my
us
goodness.
Kanye fans have at this point. You know what I
Fuck, dude.
mean?
But I mean, listen,
Yeah.
like, just drop it at a certain point, right? And the thing is that I was actually able to listen to the whole Donda album leaked, and bro, fire. Absolutely flames. I was able to listen to it on Audio Mac, I think. But regardless, Kanye West should be dropping Donda again this year. Maybe we'll get a whole different rebrand for it. So again, Lou, I'm gonna let you introduce this man. I want to ask you, just to start off this whole conversation, do you think if Kanye does not drop this year, that he's gonna have the same sort of stature going into 2021? Going into 2022? If you wanted to release an album, like, do you think that this is kind of like a deadline year for him?
He can definitely take another year off. I mean,
sure.
for
Okay.
fuck's sakes, man. He's done so much at this point that he could even retire if he wanted to and just start producing
Yeah.
and stick to that. But Donda gets me excited just because I feel like it'll be maybe Kanye's most personal album because, of course, Donda's in reference to his late mother. So, based on that, based on the snippets that he's put out, especially the one that he put out, I think it was a couple of months ago where we had the Lauryn Hill sample from the song.
He was on a boat.
He was on a boat, and
He was on
yeah,
a boat. Okay, no, yeah, okay. I can't remember the name. I can't remember what song he sampled, but it was a Lauryn
I
Hill
think
sample.
it was a doo-wop.
I'd have to re-listen. I think so. I'm not sure though.
Anyways, it sounds like he's going back to, that soul sample type production. And, even though that we're in a new era of Kanye West where it's more gospel inspired, I do think that, of course, he's still capable of making cohesive projects just because, for fuck's sakes, he has one of the best discographies of all time,
For sure.
So, SK, take me through how you think, Kanye's 2020 went and what we could expect to see from him in 2021.
Yeah, for sure. So in 2020, I think he had that single with Travis Scott, like
Wash Us in the Blood.
Wash Us in the Blood, yeah. And then Nah 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 with the Baby, and then the remix with 2 Chainz. For me, those tracks are like amazing. I love them, even though they got mixed response. But yeah, he collaborated with pretty big names, and I don't know. I feel like that's all part of his like plan, because I think he may have thought that if he didn't do anything all of last year, that sort of like the hype would die. So maybe he did that to like, I don't know, keep his name in the air. But back to what we were talking about, like if he could take a break or not, I think he could take like 2-3 years off and it will still be like one of the most anticipated albums. Like look at what happened with Cardi. Like I think we were waiting for Whole Lotta Red for like a year, 2 years, and the hype didn't die at all. So I think it's like a similar situation, except it's fucking Kanye West. So
Yeah, it is Kanye. And you know what? It's just like, at this point, you can never second guess Kanye's power because the guy's sitting in billions right now, right? Like his influence is absolutely crazy. There was such a huge spike on the Gap stock once he had mentioned that he was working with Gap on collaborations and designs. So you see the sort of influence Kanye has on this new gen culture, and not only that, but the type of discography he has. Because as far as producing goes and music quality goes, Kanye has never missed, in my opinion. Even you could call Jesus is King whatever you want it, but if you're gonna tell me that the production was flat or it didn't sound like up to standard with his old albums, that's complete horseshit. In my opinion, it was a fantastic produced album. It maybe didn't speak to all of Kanye fans and to the hip-hop community.
I just feel like it was one of Kanye's only albums where there were maybe a couple fillers. And that's not something that I'm used to with a Kanye album.
But it wasn't a bad album at all, bro.
I think it's his weakest, though. Like I feel like if I'm looking at like his whole career, it's not there. Like everything else is to one side of the spectrum, and then there's Jesus is King to the right. So
Yeah, yes and no. It depends though. It depends what you're looking at. Hold on.
did we lose SK?
Yeah, I think we lost SK.
All
but
right,
no,
we'll just reconnect him.
Yeah, we'll reconnect him. But I think we have to talk about just, what he could do with his next one, right? Because we're looking at everything and we're kind of like, sheesh, where is he gonna go, right? Oh, there he is. We got him back. So yeah, no, that's the whole thing is like, where is he going to go now? What type of sound is he going to go for? Is he going to go for the soul produced tracks, or is he going to go for something more futuristic, let's say?
Regardless, we'll never get the old Kanye back just because, he's not swearing. It's straight, talk about, I guess, his personal life or, the gospel stuff. But I want to talk about something else now, and that's Drake's Certified Lover Boy, which is going to be coming any week now. It's coming in January, so this is going to be the first major release of the year, and I think that it's going to set the tone just because if artists see Drake pull off this album and have a great rollout and a very successful one, they'll be motivated to drop this year.
SK, when do you think he's dropping, man? If you had to put a prediction on this.
If I had to put a number, I'd say towards the end of the month.
Yeah?
Maybe like the last week of it.
Okay.
Just to like build up a little more anticipation.
Yeah, because there's like there's an eerie sort of feel in the weather right now, especially for Drake, right? Because we've been waiting for so long, man, and a lot of people have mixed reviews on Drake's recent music, especially when it comes towards Scorpion. People feel as if it was too long or it was sort of incomplete. It felt like more of a playlist, and then after that, before that, you got a playlist with more life. So it's kind of like, what direction is he going in here now? And the only thing we do know is that he came out and said that people are going to have the same sort of reception as they did to Views. It's going to be that similar sort of thing where they don't know how to feel about it, and people are either going to hate it or they're going to love it. I hope it doesn't sound like Views, or else I'm not going to be enjoying the album at all. But I wanted to go on to a dark lane.
Views is a great album, though.
I absolutely love Views. It's something
too.
that me and him always kind of had a little argument about because he never fucked with it, but I think it's a great project too, man.
Yeah, I loved it too. I sort of agree with you because I prefer his older sound, like on What He Did When Nothing Was the Same and Take Care. So I sort of wouldn't be too happy with the album that sounded completely like Views. But in my opinion, whatever he does, it needs to be like at a higher level. Just because after Scorpion dropped, he started to sort of lose respect from a lot of fans, which sort of doesn't make sense because a lot of people seem to forget about whatever he did earlier on in the decade. But yeah, he doesn't really have anything to prove, but he really needs to top Scorpion and like give us something that we'll remember, which I think he will.
Who are 3 features that you guys want to see on Certified Lover Boy?
Ooh, okay, SK, I'm making you go first on this one. Go for it, bro.
All right. Yeah, someone made a tweet about this today, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it was Ryan. But yeah, who I want to see on Certified Lover Boy is The Weeknd, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Scott, and if I had to pick one more, it'd probably be Lil Wayne.
Oh,
Travis Scott. That's an interesting choice, man. Are you a big Sicko Mode fan?
I am. Like I never let like popularity determine like the value or quality of a song. Like yeah, it was definitely overplayed, but every time it comes on, I still love it. Yeah.
Okay, so
I don't know. I feel like Drake and Trav work really well together, so it's something I really want to see. And I think if Drake wants to do something that'll break the charts again, he'll definitely have Travis on the album.
Oh, definitely.
Like they're some of the biggest superstars right now.
Okay, how about you, Lou? I'm gonna make you go first.
My top 3 features would be definitely Lil Wayne, just because we just got BB King Freestyle, and that ended up being one of my favorite songs of the year, just because of that Boy One, the jazzy production, Drake just absolutely gliding over that beat, and Weezy and Drake have like over 30 collabs together. They've never missed. They're one of the best duos, and to see them reunite on this album would be fantastic. Apart from Lil Wayne, I would have to go with Benny the Butcher, just because we know that Drake and Benny, are supposed to have 2 songs in the vault. So I want to see that come to light. And third, Roddy Ricch, just because I feel like they would make an absolute fucking smash hit together. And there's actually a leak online called In the Cut where we have a Drake and Roddy song, and it sounded amazing. So those would be my top 3.
Okay.
Think about Roddy. That would be great. to see with Drake at least. Yeah.
Yeah, that J.Cole sign for Roddy would actually like take his career to a whole different level. Like that would be the co-sign that needed it. But listen, first one I'm going is Young Thug. I want to get
Oh,
I
okay.
want to get Young Thug back on this. I think every time they link up, it's super dynamic. I love it when they go together because you get that sort of you get Young Thug's vocals, and then after that, like Drake has the option of going super hard, or he goes into his melodic
It's always
bag.
like a big summer vibe, bro.
It is like example. Look at Ice Melts, right? Like it's always going to be something crazy. My second one I would like to see is Lil Baby again. They haven't collabed since Yes Indeed, and is that correct? Right? Did they collab
Yeah.
after Yes Indeed?
Uh,
I don't
I don't
believe
think
so.
so. No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I would want to see another one, especially seeing how Lil Baby took his career from, Yes Indeed to where he's at now with My Turn. I think it would go absolutely crazy. Not only that, but he's gotten much better as a rapper. And after that, I think I'm gonna have to throw in another Toronto guy. I want to see Tory Lanez on there. I'd be
Okay.
down. Listen, the whole scandal over the summer, it is what it is. But I mean, Tory has not stopped making good music. I'm always a fan and listening to his stuff. And I think at the end of the day, I mean, if he gets on that like new Toronto sort of vibe, I mean, you could have a Toronto classic cooking up in the mix. But I don't know if it's good for PR and marketing at this point, just
Probably
because
not.
Tory had a very
Yeah.
big scandal this summer. So I don't know how it's gonna sound. So yeah, those would have to be my predictions.
All right.
Yeah, I
And
really,
yeah, go
I
ahead.
really, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Tory Lanez in general. Like even before all the controversy, like I don't know. I mean, I feel like he could work well with Drake, but I don't know. His like super auto-tuned voice and all that. Even though a lot of people do it, sort of annoys me. But yeah,
Yeah, you're
that's
not
my
a big
take
Tory
on that.
fan?
But not
It,
really.
it would be hit or miss, I think. You know.
No, but
Yeah.
I think they have the capability to do something absolutely crazy. But listen, that's I guess that's the Canadian and me being biased. I mean, I would love to see that link up. But let's go on to number 6. I spoke about this guy, I think only like 2 minutes ago, and it's actually Young Thug. I want to hear Punk. I want to hear what it's gonna sound like, and I want to see what type of direction he's gonna go into because So Much Fun in 2019 was a top 5 release of the year, and I think we could all agree on that. It was
Yeah.
his debut album. It was showcasing so many different sounds, and it sounded like Thug was having fun making music again. And the whole concept of the album art, all of the features were great. So Lou, take us into the album again and let us know what we could expect.
Yeah. So it's very interesting that Young Thug chose to call his next album Punk, just because it's not necessarily supposed to have any like actual punk rock influences, but it's just I guess he feels like his lifestyle is kind of the lifestyle of a rock star or a punk star, so that's why he chose to go with it. And he has said that this album will be real rap in the sense that he'll be talking, about personal anecdotes and things that he's been through in his life, which, as much as we know Young Thug for his skill set, for how dynamic of a vocalist he is, we don't know too much about his life. So maybe this will be, an album that opens new doors and breaks new barriers for Young Thug. SK, what are your thoughts on So Much Fun and how you think that Punk will sound like?
So yeah, I really loved So Much Fun. From the production to the features, like it was great all around. I don't really think. I mean, one of my biggest pet peeves is they took Thug's original verse off Ecstasy, but other than that, yeah, it's a great album. Like, and for his next one, what you were saying, I really want to hear introspective Thug. Like a lot of his stuff is more like light and something like, to have fun to or to like get hyped to or whatever. But I feel like he could really give us something with like a lot of substance if he really tried, which I want to see him take that direction.
No, I think you're absolutely right because as soon as Thug dives into that lane, we all know how talented of an artist this guy is, right? I mean, take it back actually to a Drake release on Sacrifices. I mean, he starts getting into that sort of mode, man. You have a potential classic in place. Like this guy, I feel as if could paint such a vivid picture, but with such simple rhyme schemes, and not only that, but mix that in with the type of production choices that Thug always includes in his albums. I mean, it's always flawless and fantastic. Not only that, but if he's going into that sort of lane, maybe it won't be stacked act as a feature list as we think it would be. You know, maybe it's going to be a shorter track list too. So that's what I'm projecting. If the rumors are true and he's going into his bag of, you know, wanting to explain his life, dive deeper into his career, give those personal anecdotes. One, I think the features are going to be shorter. I don't think there's going to be a huge feature list.
Probably be a lot of YSL features because I feel like he's been working with, you know, his label a lot lately just to put on those new artists like Lil Keed. So
I might see for sure.
But I mean, like, I think they're gonna save that for the label tape more than anything. I think Thugs is gonna be really a coherent project. Not only that, but I don't see it being a 20+ song release. If we're going off what we're saying, I think it would be 15 songs or less. But listen, you know, who knows? Thug is always full of surprises, and we could always expect something new from him. So I am super down to hear.
Yeah, and another artist who would sound great with Thug, of course, is Travis Scott, who is next on our list at number 5 with Utopia. And the hype around this album, you know, is increasingly growing. I don't think it's quite as big as the hype was for Astroworld, but people are fucking excited for this album just because it's a question of how does he keep doing it? Because people have kind of doubted him time and time again, like, oh, he'll never put out something as good as Rodeo. He'll never, you know, top Birds. And then he puts out great project after great project. And to me, there's no dud in his discography. No. There isn't.
No, there is no dud. And I think to a certain extent, you could look back at his past features and you could sort of see that, okay, it's not as great as what we used to get, excuse me. I mean, you know, look at Dark Knight Demo example. Like, you know, when he was doing like Skywalker or when he was doing Love Galore, like those sort of features in comparison to what he's doing now. I mean, like, it's two different leagues, but you know, Franchise was actually a really good song. I liked it a lot.
It was okay.
And I didn't like MIA's part, of course. I think that fucked up the whole song alone. But nonetheless, like, I really like this aesthetic he's going with, and my ear is becoming more in tune with it. I'm going to run you guys through a couple of facts before we get, you know, because we had prepared some TikTok material before we got into this. He is going to absolutely blow up with this album, like even more to an extent that we think he is. He got paid, I believe it was $1 million for the PlayStation collab. He got paid $20 million for the Fortnite collaboration. He got paid another $20 million for the McDonald's collaboration, which, by the way, was the first celebrity to get their own meal since Michael Jordan back in 1992. And his Nike collaborations are making him $100 million a year. So this guy is the master of marketing and rollouts, and I think it's going to be some of the biggest stuff we're going to see all year, you know, if he's dropping in 2021, of course. What do you think, SK?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think one of the biggest things that people like tend to overlook is the importance of like his work that he did with Fortnite, because that definitely, like, I think after the whole like Astroworld thing on Fortnite, I think the album like entered the charts again or placed like or went a little higher. But yeah, like he got this like whole new fan base. Like I don't know how to word it, but like his music is reaching this like completely different demographic of I don't know, like early probably middle school kids, like the younger kids. So yeah, I feel like on if we're talking towards the success of Utopia, I feel like even though it probably won't perform as well as Astro did, it's not going to be like anything underwhelming. Like it's gonna do great.
Yeah, and the only reason why I think it won't perform as good as Astroworld, because Astroworld put over 500,000 copies first week. This won't do as well just because of the new Billboard rule where you cannot include merches. You can't have the merch bundles with album sales anymore. They're sold separately, so that might hurt his numbers. What's really exciting is that, you know, it was in December of 2020, so last month, where we heard that Travis Scott was in Mexico working on Utopia with the likes of Don Toliver, Wonder Girl, Hit Boy, and a few other artists that I can't think of right now, but
Roddy Ricch too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the album's definitely coming, and if I had to predict when it would come out, I think it's going to be a spring release, maybe April, maybe May. But I'm very excited for this.
I think he might do another summer drop. I think he might have everyone raging in the summer.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think summer is probably the perfect time to drop it. Because like even with it's probably not as important, but like even the whole like vibe that he's trying to give off, maybe with the name Utopia, is like I don't know, I feel like it just fits the summer more than anything else.
For sure, and we'll see how he goes with it. I mean, it could be an album full of franchises where it's fully in your face, it's really aggressive, or maybe it's a full album full of Astro Thunders where it's going to be super melodic. It's going to be more on that vibe where he concentrates on it. So, whichever way he goes, I'm always down to hear a new Travis album. He's one of my favorite artists. But going on to another one of my favorite artists at number 4, we do have Joey Badass. This guy absolutely needs to drop without a question. Listen, he's 25 years old. He's going into his prime. You know, he literally has another 20 years to his name, technically, if we see how the big dogs are aging. You know, we look at Pusha T, we look at, let's say, Conway, we look at all these guys, and we're like, okay, these guys are aging great. So Joey's in that lane of lyricism, just he has probably a maybe even a better catalog than those guys, right? So, and he's only 25. And now we find out that he's working with the likes of Diddy and, you know, Static Select again, and, like, you know, getting that whole New York vibe in again. I want to ask you guys, if Joey was to release another album, let's say near the quality of Before the Cash or 1999, you know, where do you think that solidifies his name in the rankings right now in hip hop? You know, does it put him over Cole or Kendrick? Does it put him near the same thing, or maybe, you know, does he stay in place with where he's at right now? I'll go to you.
I made a tweet about this the other day talking about if he does have another project that is at the level of 1999 and All American Badass, I think it would be safe to say he's one of the greatest, like hands down.
Oh, that's a steamy take.
Yeah,
That's a steamy take.
Cause like at the age that he was when he dropped 1999, phenomenal project, probably the best mixtape of all time. He never like really declined in quality per se.
That's true.
And everything he's done, it's been like, it's either been different or it was some improvement in his work. Like how like All American Badass, it was completely like, it was like politically driven with and he talked about like his struggles and like how fucked up America is and all that shit. Like heavy topics like racism and systemic racism, like police brutality, all that. So that was a completely different approach to what he did, like prior to what he did on like 1999. So it's just like artist, like he's been growing as an artist. So if he matches like the quality of his previous work, but still gives us something new and refreshing, I think for me at least, he'll be up there.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely go up in the rankings. I think that he has a long way to go before being able to be considered one of the greats. But I mean, like you said, 1999 to me as well is probably the best mixtape of all time. And what I love about Joey is that he's a perfectionist. He's gone on record saying that he's finished this new album 3 times, but has gone back to it to just keep improving it, keep trying to make it better. And, you know, his run in 2020 with the Light Pack, he dropped 3 great songs, and it was kind of just a nice boost. It was a reminder that, you know, Joey is still nice with it. He still has his bars on lock. And, you know, I just can't wait to see where he's going to go with this. I really can't.
I spoke about this many times in the podcast that if he starts to get into this luxury vibe and, you know, he starts to talk about, you know, the mogulship and, you know, what he's trying to do for Pro Era and what he's trying to do for the New York scene on a deeper level, I mean, that could become a really strong project. And Joey is always so good with personal anecdotes. I mean, take it back to Before the Cash, one of his best projects in my opinion, you know, talking about his life, his mindset, you know, how his third eye is always open and, you know, he has a spiritual journey within him still while pursuing that mogulism. I mean, this guy could go anywhere he wants. And at this point, I mean, especially for the New York race, I don't think there's anyone close to him anymore. I mean, Rocky has a lane of his own. The whole New York drill scene is on a lane of its own. I mean, Lil TJ and A Boogie have that sort of melodic New York thing going on, but I mean, how prominent is it really to this day? Joey has the clear path to take the crown back, you know, and he's only 25. I mean, this guy could go on and make 20 years of music and drop another 4 classics for all we know. And then maybe we'll be talking on this podcast again in another 20 years and be like, sheesh, okay, we all came down to the fact that Joey Badass is the best of all time. But, you know, it's interesting to see where he's going because we thought he's gonna have a big decade in 2010. I mean, in the 2010 decade, sorry. He had a crazy run. Now we look at 2020 and he could possibly even have a bigger run. So sky's the limit for this guy. And honestly, I have to hear from him because, he's one of my favorite MCs in the game right now. But going on to number 3, we have a TDE professional. This guy is a top tier lyricist. He has probably 2 9 on 10s in his discography, and it is no other than Isaiah Rashad. Lou, take us through The House is Burning and explain, I know this is a really anticipated release for you because you want to hear from him, right?
Yeah, and it's just because, he's been so quiet. I mean, we haven't gotten a project from Isaiah in 4 years. The Sun's Tirade came out back in 2016, and since then, all we got from him, besides a couple of features, of course, was the song "Why Worry," which came out in April of 2020, and that song had the usual Southern groove from Isaiah. A great vocal performance where he taps into, just his new life, accepting, his riches, and just cutting out the fake people that are in his life just for his money. But what's interesting about Isaiah's drop here is that it's going to feel like listening to a whole new artist, just because think about how much someone changes in 4 years.
Yeah.
It's going to feel like discovering somebody totally new. And I want to know what these last 4 years have been like for Isaiah, just because we know that he had, the problem with, drugs and substance abuse. So to see him talk about how he overcame that and whatever other struggles he overpassed, I want to see him do it, because I know that he'll probably deliver, just because with Sylvia Demo and The Sun's Tirade, 2 phenomenal albums.
Facts.
So SK, What are your thoughts on Isaiah, and what do you think he's going to deliver in 2021?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you guys actually saw this, but he was tweeting today. Like,
I actually didn't.
And he seemed really like excited. He was like talking about how his new music is coming soon and all that. And I mean, from the tone of what he was saying, I feel like he's really happy to be making music right now.
You know what's funny is that Absol is doing the same thing, where he's hopping on his Twitter and saying, guys, the album's coming soon. So we're seeing a lot of TDE artists doing this. So maybe we'll have a TDE takeover in 2021.
Yeah, for sure. That's something I'm actually looking forward to a lot. Yeah, with Zay, he's one of, like, even though he only has like 2 projects, I feel like even with that, he's super, like, the consistency is crazy. The Sun's Tirade was a great follow-up to Sylvia Demo. And yeah, as you were saying, like, he's been through so much in these past, sorry about that. He's been through so much in these past few years that it's going to be like a whole different experience with this new album, and he's going to bring something that we haven't seen yet. So I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm super excited for anything from TDE because we spoke to Joey about this actually, and he was mentioning how he thinks that TDEs are they're just a camp full of perfectionists, right? And they want to wait to put out the best music possible. And to be quite honest with you, anything that comes out of TDE's camp just always sounds fantastic. I mean, we could go through so many different classics in that whole camp and be like, wow, like these guys are actually, home runners. Like they don't miss, and they'll continue, having that high percentage in the field, and they'll do whatever they got to do to put out a classic. So, I mean, at this point, what's really stopping Zay from delivering another project on the quality of The Sun's Tirade or even Sylvia Demo? I mean, listen, I don't even expect the same sound. Like, I don't want that at all. I want to hear from him. I haven't heard from him since 2016. Like, especially coming up as a hip hop fan. I mean, I'm only 20 years old, and he had such a big important part of my TDE love, and me investing my time into that whole camp. So it's like I got the taste of it. I got it from like when I was 14 and 16 years old, and then going through the rest of my hip hop listening, Isaiah just hasn't been there, and I just had to resort back to his old music.
And what's crazy is that he's still at the very beginning of his career.
Facts.
But I want to move on to someone that might be at the end of their career, and that's J.Cole, who seems to be on the road to retirement with the fall off, which is. It looked like it was going to come in 2020, but we were kind of deceived by that. And now, we just got an Instagram post from J. Cole where we saw kind of this notebook, and it showed us a straight path to the fall off. But it looks like we might be getting 2 projects before we get the fall off.
I'm not sure if we're gonna get 2 products, or maybe he's just like he's delivering another son. Maybe I think maybe he's having another child.
Because of it's a boy title.
Yeah, I think it's a boy is like the whole he's having a child, and then after that he wants to release that.
The reason why I think it might be projects is because the one above It's a Boy is the off season, and I think that he's hinted at that before, that he would drop a mixtape called The Off Season.
Was it on Angie Martinez? I think it was on
I'm not sure where it was. I
okay.
remember hearing it way back when.
This is actually facts. It was on an Angie Martinez interview, and like he was just talking about, because she mentioned the fall off, and it was right at the time where he dropped KOD, and he explained, yes, that is going to be coming out. He's been working on it for such a long time, but that he actually wants to release a mixtape before he does it. So who knows? Maybe we're gonna get a double cold drop. And listen, even if we get one or the other, we're still reviewing it and we're still going through it and we're still eating, right? So anything from J.Cole is just gonna hit. SK, let me ask you something, bro. If J.Cole comes back and comes strong and like he just absolutely blows out of the water, you know, do you think he's gonna cement his name as the number one place right now?
What do you mean by that? Number one place?
Meaning that, like, if he was to drop, right, then he was to drop another album, let's say on the level of 2014 or For Your Eyes Only. Let's say that stature. Right? Not in terms of sound or sounding alike, just in the terms of, you know, quality and the way he was able to deliver the project. Do you think he's going to have his spot even more solidified than it already is? Or do you think Cole could just retire right now and he's going down as, like, one of the greatest to ever do it? Like, do you think this album is absolutely detrimental to his place in hip hop?
I wouldn't say detrimental, but I would say it's significant because, like, with KOD, it was a polarizing release, like, and to this day, a lot of people don't like it much, like, including me. I mean, it's by no means a bad project, but it was sort of underwhelming considering what he's done in the past.
I think it's a great album, but we'll save that for another time.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's bad at all, but yeah, it was underwhelming. But what I'm expecting him to do is, like, if he does retire with this, we're not gonna get anything less of an amazing project. That's something I can say for sure. That's true. Because knowing Cole is also a perfectionist, and like, if this is gonna be his final statement, it's gonna be great. And he needs it just to, like, earn respect from a lot of, like, hip hop fans because he gets disrespected way too much. And I don't think he's ever going to top Forest Hill Drive or even For Your Eyes Only, but I'm still expecting a phenomenal project from him.
That's true. And I think at any point, if Cole was to drop, we mentioned this so many times on this podcast, that he's going to come back and he's going to absolutely kill it. We all know the type of quality that Cole delivers. And anytime you go through a Cole project, you know, you get this certain type of quality that you don't get from any other artist, right? And then it always raises that question, you know, if his counterpart, Kendrick Lamar, was to release an album, let's say Cole and Kendrick do release an album this year, you know, I'm going to drop the bombshell on you guys right now. Who will have the better release in 2021? Guys, I'm going to leave the floor open. Actually, you know what? I want to ask SK first. SK, Kendrick drops, J.Cole drops. They're both fantastic projects, but who do you think has the better release in 2021?
So I actually never thought about this before. This is a really good question. But if we're judging off their past, like, or their most recent projects, it would have to be Kendrick, because Damn was a really great album for me. Even though it's, like, probably one of his weaker ones, like, Kendrick's catalog is so great that an amazing project is one of his weakest.
Facts
for me. But it really depends on the route Kendrick and Cole decide to go, because like, you know how Good Kid, Mad City and To Pimp a Butterfly, they were more conceptually based rather than Damn, and it was like he had this, like, whole different like mindset with his other two albums, and then Damn was something different. Like, it was more personal.
It was a much more personal album. Yeah, it was a much more personal
album. And also I think it was similar with Cole and KOD. Like, I feel like they sort of are, like, going
hand in hand with each
different directions, but Cole has always had this, like, introspective sound to him, and he's always made personal music. But yeah, I feel like if I had to answer the question, I would say Kendrick, but that's really biased.
Okay.
But yeah,
it's a fair answer. I think that the obvious answer is Kendrick Lamar. For myself, it's kind of going to be a toss-up just because they both have so much to prove. Like you said, KOD and Damn are both they're both seen as kind of the weaker projects in both of their discographies. So they both have something to prove. They're both hopping into a new decade, and they have to keep their fan bases happy. The reason why J. Cole can have a better album than Kendrick is the sole fact that it's going to be his last album, and the fact that if he brings those storytelling cuts like he did on For Your Eyes Only and packs in all of that emotional, that emotional hip hop and just those jazz beats, he can form something that's beyond our capabilities of what J. Cole could do. He can drop his best project to date for all we know. As far as Kendrick goes, he's an innovator. He'll always bring like new subgenres into the mix, and he'll probably bring a crazy concept that we can never even imagine of how he could have thought of it. But look, Kendrick's the obvious answer, but I think that you shouldn't count J. Cole out just because we've seen him drop, masterpieces before, and he can very well do it again.
That's facts. I mean, I'm a huge Kendrick Lamar fan. I'm a big stan. He is probably the reason why I'm so passionate about hip hop. And every album he's reinventing himself, and a lot of people have criticism about Damn, but it's actually, I think it's definitely a strong album of his, just because, if we're looking at it as an album as a whole in the track list, I mean, there's only maybe one skip for me on there, and that's me being like as harsh as I possibly can. Not only that, but Kendrick's personal anecdotes are extremely vivid. They're painted in such beautiful pictures. There's a load of imagery in there. Not only that, but it won a Pulitzer Prize. It did fantastic at the Grammys on that night. And, I'm not saying that all these accolades have something to do with it, but I mean, we all know what type of an album and project Damn is. I mean, people just compare it to GKMC and Tip of a Butterfly and get cold feet. Take Damn and put it in anyone else's discography, and it's probably their best album, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason why I think that it's going to be a toss-up, as you said, is because the way I'm hearing Cole right now, especially with the climb back, I mean, it's just like Cole's in his bag.
He's in his fucking bag,
because,
man.
And this is the thing, is that Cole is kind of like, he's like wine. Older he gets, finer it is. And once you get into that track list, I mean, you're going to get mogulism. You're going to get all the personal anecdotes from the past 3 years of not releasing. You're probably going to get some, some literature on his life and, what he's endured and stuff that we haven't heard about before. Then he's probably going to answer a lot of the criticisms that came with KOD and people calling him not hungry and it was one of his weaker projects. I mean, there is so much on the table for Cole to attack, and I think that's why he's taking so long with it, is that this is literally going to be one of the grandest finales we've gotten in recent times. And I mean, if we're talking about that, then I mean, listen, it's a toss-up between both of them. But let's go into Kendrick's album.
And that's our number one most anticipated rap album of 2021.
I mean, how can it not be? This guy has not dropped since I think it's April 21st, 2017. Is that it?
Yeah, I know it's April. I'm not sure the exact date.
I think it was on Good Friday. I remember that. And I remember when I first listened to that Kendrick project, I was blazed as fuck with my cousin. And the first time we went through it, we were just like, sheesh, I don't know how to feel about this. Like, it sounded so different than what we were used to Kendrick putting out. And we're like, okay, let us go to bed. Maybe we're just too high and we got to go back and listen to it in the morning. I listened to it again and I was like, damn, this is my fucking album of the year. Like, this is absolutely fantastic. So that's the sort of sentiment I want to have with this. I haven't heard from my favorite rapper, and now it's probably going to be 4 years, right? And I mean, Kendrick could do it. Kendrick has the discography to leave hip hop right now and go down as one of the greatest to ever do it. I mean, he has 2 albums that are probably perfect in my opinion. He has another 9 on 10 on him. He has a classic mixtape in Section 80. I mean, this guy has literally done it all, and like, he's not going to stop anytime soon. Not only that, but as we mentioned before, each and every single time Kendrick enters the octagon, he's going to bring a different type of fighting style. He's going to come in and he's going to hit you with these concepts that you can't even think of. And then mix that in with his production choices. And then, the in-house producers, let's say we talk about maybe even getting Dr. Dre back. Imagine we get Dr. Dre back on a new fucking Kendrick album.
I love it.
Blow my mind. And then that's the whole answer with me there. So SK, bro, take me through Kendrick's new album and what are your expectations?
All right, so what I hope he does, I really want him to make it another like conceptual masterpiece. Like, Damn was like, as I said before, it was like more about him and like it was like super personal. Facts. But I want him to take something take like this concept. I don't know, like it's unimaginable, like you were saying, but whatever that might be, I want him to put it into music, but also make it something that we've never heard before.
That's facts.
Because with like To Pimp a Butterfly, like he has elements of jazz, and which is something that we don't usually see, or at the time we never saw. And like the whole like with the track sequencing and like how the story flowed, like it was just that listen is just a whole experience. I want something like that with this next Kendrick project. I want something that where if I sit down, or something that I have to sit down to, start at the beginning, go through it track by track, and every single minute of it is just is an experience. That's what I want.
Yeah, and
I know it's a lot to ask, but yeah, I don't know. I have high expectations for Kendrick and this next album.
Yeah, you said that you wanted a conceptual album, and I think that's exactly what he's going to deliver, to be totally honest with you. First things first is that a columnist for Billboard, I think it was back in 2019 or 2020, had said that... Bill Word said that there would be a heavy rock influence in terms of production for this new Kendrick album. I don't know if that's still the case. For all we know, Kendrick could have made a completely different album from that point on. But what we do know is that on September 1st, 2020, Kendrick was spotted in LA filming a music video where he's kind of looking run down. He has, this hoodie on. He's sitting on like this little box.
Next to a telephone booth, right?
Next to a telephone booth. Yeah. And right away, the first thought that came into my mind is that Kendrick will not be portraying himself on this next album.
That's true.
I think that he's going to tap into a whole different persona. It might be someone who's homeless. It might be someone who has mental health issues. But I think that this will not be a personal Kendrick Lamar album, because he's already given us that. And I think that it's time in his career for him to tell us somebody else's story. And I think that he'll blow us away, and he might deliver his best work here. And that's what gets me excited, is that with Kendrick Lamar, it's never impossible to top your best, and To Pimp a Butterfly or Good Kid, Mad City can be topped in 2021.
Yo, that's a big claim, man. That's a huge...
It's possible, man.
Sheesh, bro. Take a sip of that water, man. That's a hot fucking take, bro. That's nuts, man. Listen, from a Kendrick fan, I see where you're coming from. I think he could do it all, bro. I think Kendrick's Superman, and I think he's a little wizard in a little Compton boy's body. I mean, like, this guy could literally do whatever he wants.
Also,
right?
wait, let me just... I want to kind of end off with this question for both of you. If Kendrick Lamar's next album is better than To Pimp a Butterfly and GKMC, does he go down as having the best discography in hip-hop history?
At that point, there's actually no debate.
Okay, SK doesn't agree.
No.
Come on, bro. He's gonna have like 3 10s. What do you mean, bro?
SK, I want to hear your thoughts, man. Come on, spice it up.
Okay, he will definitely move up on my list, but if this album is at that level, I don't think he can top, let's say, Kanye. There's Kanye. There's Ghostface. There's The Roots, Doom, Nas.
Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah, Tribe, definitely. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anyone else, though. I feel like, he would definitely be top 10 for me. But I wouldn't say the best.
You could put maybe Nas and Jay-Z in there, but they don't have, like, not all of their projects are up to par. Look, it's very tough to say. I think that he would probably secure top 5, maybe even top 3 discographies of all time. If I can give him that number one spot, I don't know. But, we'll have to see, man.
He's literally Compton's angel, bro. Like, this guy could do anything. I mean, he's been the golden boy. Yeah. And the reason why...
go for
it.
I thought another person another duo that I don't see him ever beating is
Outkast.
Yeah. There's a handful of discographies that are probably going to be at a higher level. But at the same time, I don't want to, like, take anything away from Kendrick. I know he's great. And I know that...
That's true.
I wouldn't be mad if someone told me he was top 1, top 2, top 3, something like that, because it's a respectable take.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
And then you can also make the argument that throughout of releasing, let's say 10 plus years of music that he's never missed, right? Then, like, there's literally no one that we could put in that same conversation. I mean, besides maybe Outkast and A Tribe Called Quest, and obviously those legendary names are always thrown into the mix. But Kendrick is, if he drops something as detrimental as GKMC or To Pimp a Butterfly, I mean, that's 3 10 on 10s in my opinion. I mean, like, that's unheard of. Like, there's literally no one anyone that has ever done that before. I mean, Kanye hasn't done it. I think maybe
I think he has.
I think you could say that he has.
I listen, bro. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think. Listen. If you want to go college dropout, late reg, graduation, and MBDTF, I don't think those are 310s or like even 410s. I think that there is some flaws to them in comparison to Kendrick's albums.
With the albums you just said, for me, that's 310s and a 9. That's like the reason why I have Kanye as like having the best discography in hip hop. Well, like the College Dropout, like arguably one of the best debut hip hop albums ever.
That's true.
And then Late Registration is just flawless to me. Graduation is one of my favorite albums ever, and then this My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I don't have to say much about that.
I think you could definitely make the argument that out of those 4 albums, there's 3 10s in there, if not 4 10s. But you can also see that there, like 2 or 3 of them are 9s. It depends who you ask. At the end of the day, music's subjective, guys. But at the end of the day, whatever it is, Kendrick will deliver. I think that's a certainty at this point, just because, like you said, after being in hip hop for over a decade, he hasn't missed, and he hasn't even dropped something mediocre yet.
No, he hasn't, and he hasn't either. And he's been carrying the whole West Coast on his back for a couple of years now, and especially once he got those co-signs from the Compton Legends and everyone else in LA. I mean, it's been up from there. And as I said, this guy's literally a wizard in a little Compton boy's body. Like, this guy is absolutely insane. Every time I hear him get on a microphone, it's absolute blasphemy to me. And I think like this guy's just way too skilled to be able to put anything else. And honestly, I don't even think you could call me a Kendrick dick rider just because, bro, he's that good. I mean, you can make the argument that he's just that good, and like it would be absolute fucking blasphemy if you were to tell me that Kendrick Lamar is not a legend and he's not a top tier lyricist in this game. But listen, 2021 has a lot of cool shit coming, guys. I mean, we're going to be dropping these review guys, so you guys are going to want to subscribe to us if you made it this far throughout the podcast. Shout out to our boy
and
SK.
Let us know, guys, what's your most anticipated rap album of 2021?
Yes, sir, guys. You can leave that in the comments. As I was saying before, though, thank you to our boy SK for coming on, man. Listen, I'm going to leave you the floor, bro. Explain to us a bit about what you do with your Twitter page, and tell us where we could find you, man.
Yeah, my Twitter handle is RapTalkSK. I don't really do anything too special. I just like try to have some type of post that start discussions. I like to give takes. I don't know, it's just a platform where people can come, interact with other people, just talk about what we all love, which is music.
That's so, yeah. Sure. We all love music, and 2021 is going to be a beautiful gift to us because music listeners are about to eat. There's a lot of guys that we didn't talk about too. We didn't talk about Anderson .Paak or Absol. Those guys could be dropping too. Who knows? We might even get some new material from Old Heads by Jay-Z. Jay-Z might make a comeback out of nowhere. Who knows? Listen, there's so much up in the air, guys. But as I said before, subscribe to us if you guys have not already. We're going to be covering all these drops, by the way, in our 15-minute breakdowns. You guys love the Playboy card you won. We appreciate everything, guys. So listen, thank you, SK, for coming on. Lou, it's been a fantastic conversation.
For having me.
Absolutely. And guys, best of wishes in 2021.